Today I want to preview number 2 Alabama hosting number 3 Georgia. And all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. So it's college football related, sports related. We have a good time today. I want to preview number 2 Alabama hosting number 3 Georgia at Tuscaloosa at Bryant-Denny Stadium. And look here, man. You know what time it is. Yeah! It's Scott Cochran time. You know why it's Scott Cochran time? Because we know something that might actually make the folks at Alabama just a little bit skittish. They also know something too. Now, what I think is going to make them a little skittish is Nick Saban walked into the press conference shook after beating up on Ole Miss 63-48. Why? Because he believes that Lane Kiffin and the offense knew their defensive signals. Now, Lane Kiffin was quick to get on the Twitters, tell everybody, look, we go fast. And when you go fast, you call your play first. Like you can't make adjustments at the line of scrimmage and get it into Matt Corral, because I didn't know that Matt Corral could go in there and cook an Alabama defense, a Pete Golden defense, because that's what he was doing. Him and Yeboah, boys was getting it in. Like, I'm looking up, and I'm like, yo, this game is a Big 12 game. And the Big 12 had infected the SEC, to be quite honest with you. I mean, talking about Florida, Alabama, and LSU combined to give up 134 points, 1,776 total yards on Saturday, and the Tide surrendered the most of any team, 48 points, 647 yards of offense, but was also the only one of that trio that actually got the W. Now, Saban is 21-0 against his former assistants, of which Kirby Smart is one, and Kirby Smart is the head coach of the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, the thing that I love most about Georgia's football team this year is that it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Stetson Bennett is good enough, right? It's the defense that has been outstanding. Like, mention this. Alabama gave up 48 to Ole Miss. Georgia has given up 37 all year, okay? Georgia also can actually depend on its defense to go get it points. Talk about Monty Rice with the strip, with the sack, with the scoop, and with the score. Richard LeCount back there just making it happen. Eric Stokes back there just making it happen. Azeez Ojulari out there making it happen against an Alabama offense that, quite honestly, can go out there and get it if that's what you want them to do. That was the one thing that I also did not expect to be so cut and dry about Alabama football this year. Mac Jones, Najee Harris, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, those dudes know how to get down and get it in. Matter of fact, Mac Jones is completing 79.5% of his passes for this year, already over 1,000 yards passing, 1,101 yards passing, 8 touchdowns. Compare that to Tua Tagovailoa last year through the first 3 games of 2019, 76.9% completion, 1,007 yards passing, and 12 TDs. Now, Mac Jones is not Tua Tagovailoa, but he sure as hell is outplaying him through the first 3 games of an all-SEC schedule. Like, Mac Jones is actually trying to make me look bad by saying, no, man, I'm way better than Stetson Bennett. Stetson Bennett, the dude whose claim to fame until this year was playing Baker Mayfield on the scout team ahead of the 27 Rose Bowl. That's how old Stetson Bennett is. He got to be like, what, 32, 34? I'm joking, but you get what I'm saying. Ole Miss's 48 points were the most that number 2 Alabama has ever given up to an unranked team in the AP era. That dates back to 1936. And I bring that up in reference to Georgia to say this might come down to, can Georgia actually go out and score? Now, they put up 44 on Tennessee, and that's not no easy win right there, right? They also gave up 21 to Tennessee, which is the most that any team has scored on them so far this year. So this could be a good old-fashioned shootout, but I don't expect that to be it. I expect Nick Saban to be kicking everybody's behind. I expect Nick Saban to get on his defensive backs to chew Pete Golden up one side, down the other. I expect those boys to come out, play match, and say our cat defense is better than your cat offense, and see if Kendall Milton, James Cook, and Zamir White can beat them, because that's the other thing that is actually kind of worrying about this Georgia football team. They're not running the ball extremely well. 3.8 yards per carry. That's not what you want, right? Now, Kirby Smart loves nothing more than being able to run the ball and play defense. I mean, that is a Nick Saban disciple and probably at the top of the list of the Nick Saban disciples. But he also has Scott Cochran coaching on his staff. Now, Bama fans have been very, very clear. They don't believe that Scott Cochran joining Georgia is that big a deal. They believe that Scott Cochran got too big for his britches, went to Nick Saban, said, I want to be an on-the-field assistant, and Nick Saban said, cool, go do that somewhere else. You do it well somewhere else, I'll bring you back over here. Scott Cochran said, I just want to do it here. Nah, dog, you've never been an on-the-field assistant. Why would I give you that job? To which Kirby Smart said, come on down, homie. Come on down. Come to Athens, baby. Come to Athens. Now, empty your knowledge onto the board, because that's what it's going to be, right? If you think that Lane Kiffin was able to get the sniggles off of Nick Saban years after the fact, what the hell makes you think that Scott Cochran ain't going to be able to tell you everything he knows about how Alabama runs its football team? Now, you may change the signals. Cool. But that's more work for Alabama. And if you can get more work for Alabama from the Georgia perspective, here for it, right? Because I want them to be thinking about everything. I don't want them to be able to focus on just being who they are and just depending on their talent to carry them through. I want them to believe there's something to fear about Georgia football, especially with the Bulldogs coming in there, because this could be the first of not just one, but 2, even 3 meetings between Alabama and Georgia this year, because there's becoming a very clear dividing line between the best teams in college football and not. I mean, North Carolina is a top 5 team. It's not, but that's where they're ranked, right? Clemson, Alabama, Georgia, good. I expect Ohio State to be good. Florida exposed itself against ampersand U on Saturday, right? You're giving up 41 to ampersand U when you had an 11-point lead in the second quarter. You still managed to lose that football game. Mac Jones played one of the better games of his life and still nearly lost. Kyle Trask threw for over 300 yards and did lose. I mean, again, defense has been optional both in the NFL and in college football this year. And if defense is optional, you got to pick Alabama against Georgia, because Georgia's offense just has not clicked in the way that Alabama's has clicked. And that's what it's going to be. You got to get not just Kearis Jackson going, you got to get George Pickens to do something other than square waddle on Jared Guarantano. Like, that's just what it's going to have to be. I thought Kirby was a little harsh about going on and on about what George Pickens has done on the sideline. I also get that George Pickens has not been playing like the George Pickens that we expected him to be. But Kearis Jackson has been. And if you are able to get both of those guys going, and you can still hand the ball to Zamir White, Kenny McIntosh, Kendall Milton, James Cook, then you're fine. Everything's good. But if you get into a game in which you got to outscore Alabama, you're going to lose that game. So it behooves Georgia to continue to play the defense that they've had, to figure out how to run the ball, and to get as many catches in the hands of Kearis Jackson and George Pickens as they can, because Mac Jones and Alabama are coming together like Megazord, and whatever Rita Repulsa wants to throw at them, probably going to slay. One more time for the people. Girl! Deuces.